everybody. It's Uncle Skinny. We're back with another Uncle Skinny Reviews. We got movies this week to review and talk about. A little update. As you can see from the tea incident last week, I have suffered some severe burns on my face, and they're starting to blister and pus up, and it's just been immensely painful. And the flesh is starting to just rot and die, and it stinks. Yesterday I woke up just from the smell of my own rotting flesh, and I nearly passed out, just from the smell. Never mind the pain, and it's been incredibly painful. Some other housekeeping notes. My assistant, Alexandra, thought it would be funny to throw a prank by locking me down here in the basement. She threw a party, there is music, a lot of drinking from what I could tell from the sounds. And I don't know if she's forgotten about me, if she's left, if she's passed out. I don't know what's happened, but I've been down here for several days. I think it's been a couple days. And it's, but I'm okay. Luckily, there's a washer machine down here, and you can't open it while it's running, but what I've been doing is washing some rags that I found and wringing the water out from the rags into my mouth for sustenance, for water. And there are several large insects down here that I've been finding, which I believe is a good source of protein. So I'm all right. But I need to conserve my energy so I can make it through this. Oh. Today's movies. First we have We Are What We Are, which is available to stream on Shudder. 2013, directed by Jim Mickle. We Are What We Are follows the Parker family. They live in a small town. They're familiar with all the locals, but what nobody knows is their secret, which is that they've been carrying on a tradition of cannibalism for centuries. That's We Are What We Are What We Are. And what this movie is pretty lackluster, gang. Fact of the matter is the concepts in this movie, which are interesting initially, start falling apart and losing their weight. The entire reason for this family carrying on a cannibalistic tradition doesn't hold any water. It's unbelievable. And there's several other things and aspects of this movie that are just simply arbitrary, such as the fact that when the family does sit down for their ritual cannibalistic stew of human flesh, for some fucking reason, they all dress up in this antiquated 1800 style clothing and play old records from a gramophone, even though we've seen them interact in society and they're normal, they dress normal, they act normal, but for some reason, whenever they eat human flesh, they have to put on a costume party. And there's no real logic or reason behind that I could have discerned. And there are several other scenes that just kind of continue on this path of being mediocre, frankly. One of the big scenes is there's a big, it's raining, torrential rain, it's flooding, and the site where they have buried all these bodies starts flooding out and washing all the bones down river. And the scene is the father is trying to scramble by picking up the bones so they don't go down river, and people discover them. And this scene of the father just lazily groping at the bones and then turning over and screaming at the sky is probably one of the worst acting performances I have seen in some time. There's just no logic or reason behind this movie. It just doesn't really make sense, and so it makes it just unbelievable. And once we're out of that, once we're pulled away from that suspension of disbelief, we just start nitpicking. It's one of those movies, you can't stop but doing it, and I just found, especially in its conclusion, it to be pretty disappointing. At best, this movie is mediocre in its execution as far as the script, the dialogue, the cinematography, the sound design, etc., etc., etc. There's nothing really captivating or even with a whole lot of artistic integrity going on. So for me, I'm not going to recommend this. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. We Are What We Are gets a 3 out of 10. It has an 86 on Rotten Tomatoes right now, which is a strong score. And that's something I don't really understand because I just found it to be a completely lackluster production. The next movie we have for you guys today is I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. This was a recommendation from a family of mine, my cousins, Laura and Anthony Migliaccio. So shout out to those guys. I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. This was directed by Oz Perkins, 2016. I believe you can stream it on Netflix. I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House centers around our protagonist, Lily Saylor, a nurse who is hired to stay in the home and attend to elderly author Iris Bloom, who suffers from dementia and, of course, has physical ailments in her elderly age that she needs somebody to care for her. Throughout her time in the house, Lily starts noticing very strange and odd behavior, leading her to believe the house may be haunted. Not only that, but certain connections of these ghastly spectral visions start connecting to characters in Ms. Bloom's novels. And as Lily searches to find answers, she is met with a ghost. This is a ghost story, essentially. The monolithic pace of this movie, while it does build a great amount of dread, suspense, and atmosphere, can be taxing to sit through. It is hard and certainly demands your patience and attention. But if you do stick with it, there are definitely gems and treasures to be found. The cinematography of this movie is absolutely gorgeous. Some great camera work, awesome sound design, great building of tension and suspense, and even this kind of hypnotic feel, because it is a kind of a calming movie at points and times, albeit kind of while subtly building this dread throughout. And one of the big scare scenes in this movie, I have to say, is so well executed and so kind of harrowing that it's one that I shall not forget anytime soon. That was a great scene in that movie. Ultimately, I Am the Pretty Thing in This House is incredibly entertaining, but you really have to be in the right mood, the right time of day, the right place in your mindset to be able to sit down and watch it. And this movie has been knocked by other critics as being boring, as being slow. And to some degree, I don't disagree, but there are some treasures to be found here. And because I was able to sit through it and enjoy it, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was very artistically done, a lot of integrity in this production, and some really cool things happening. But again, it may not even be for everybody, and even if it is for you, I would say wait until you're really in the mood to sit down and do like a movie night where you can be engaged, and then you kind of be able to reap those jewels. So I believe I gave 7 out of 10 for I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. Thank you for that recommendation, Laura and Anthony. As always, giving me the good stuff. That's it for me this week. I hope to see you guys next week. And until then, I'm conserving all my energy and voice, really, so I can call for help if I hear a car passing by. We'll see you next week. And don't forget to like and comment and subscribe to the channel. Yeah.